Behind the Shades.
I know for me, sometimes I start off with a question, why? And in the example you gave where the person stormed off and they said that I want to feel like I matter. Sometimes I'll turn on and ask the question, do you believe that you don't matter to me? And then they may say yes or no, because that's more of a close-ended question, right? And let's say if they say, Train, no, I feel like I don't matter to you. And then my next follow-up question would be, what are some of the ways that I can show you that you matter to me?
Yeah.
And that would open up that door because that's like an open end where they can just pour out.
Yeah.
And I base that off of just my interaction with people. And this is going to be more anecdotal, but I find that women are more inclined to open up that emotional response than men in general. Men
Yeah.
need a little bit more prodding. But if you ask the right question, you can get a similar result. So I like that you would dig and dig, because slamming the door can mean anything. But when
Yes.
you ask the right questions, they can say that I want to matter because it's important to me. Because I'm going to tie it back to, let's say, some type of trauma. I saw my mom and dad when they were arguing. The slamming of the door reminded me of their fights. And then I know shortly afterwards, things quiet down. But that's a child's perspective, right? A child's perspective is different than an adult's perspective. They didn't see the conversation. They didn't maybe see the hug. They didn't see the tears. They
Yeah.
heard the noise. They heard the argument. Time passes so much slower to children, and so much faster to children, sorry. And then they saw the parents like brand new. Is that something that you see with some of the clients that you deal with when they're going through what they're going through?
Yeah, where those patterns kind of play out that they saw as a kid and they kind of will play out in their own partnerships for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I want to circle back to something that you said about, how can I show you that I love you as a question? Because what you're doing there is giving the person that you're relating with the opportunity to share what their love language is, how they want to receive love. And that's a really beautiful thing to know about the people that you're intimate with, both how you like to give it and how you like to receive it. That is something that's missed because we have our childhood programming. And so, to your question, we have a belief about how we think things are supposed to go based on what we saw when we were young or what we didn't see when we were young. And we can come back and self-reflect, well, how is it that I want to be loved? It doesn't matter what happened before, what I witnessed before, what I didn't witness before. How is it that I like to receive love? And how is it that I like to give love? And you get to write your own story. You can scratch, red pen out all of the old stories from what you saw and heard when you were young, and provide opportunity for yourself to just create your own version of this.
I had a difficult time understanding that not everyone enjoys receiving gifts.
Yeah.
And it was a struggle because, one, I grew up poor. So by the time I was able to even afford some of these things, I want to just give and give and give, right? But if it came from a good place, I used to go on vacation. I would buy certain things that, okay, this reminds me of Tonia. This reminds me of Jane. This reminds me. And then I would give it. And then some people were enthusiastic and some people were like, okay, thank you. They're more like low key. And I struggled with that because as a child, that's what my language was,
Yeah.
because I grew up not having a lot of things. As I got older and I became a little bit successful, I guess, it changed. Now it's words of acknowledgement. I want to say that, Train, you know what? You make me happy. Train, you make me feel good.
Mm.
And I wonder if, and I'll get your take on this, can it change over time or evolve to how we want to be loved? Is that a possibility?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, there's no rules about that. Yeah, absolutely. And going back to that one specific body of work, the love languages, there's touch, time, quality time, gifts, words of affirmation, and acts of service. And there might be one that there's a quiz that you can do online. I'm sure there's a website. Yeah. And it's a two-way street. So there's how you like to receive your primary love language, and then how you like to give. Like, my main love language is touch, and that's a hard one for a lot of people. Like, if it was up to me, all the people that I care about would just be like in one big pile on the couch, just like, just like, and that just would be the best for me. But of course, that's not everybody's cup of tea. And I also like to receive, personally, words of affirmation. My husband likes to give time or give service. Like, he makes cool things and gifts that but this is important to explore. And of course, it can change over time. You might, going back to sort of my hypothesis that there's always sort of an underlying need. I'm just thinking this right now, so this is a little bit of a verbal processing. But if there's, say, a need for gifts, like their love language they like to receive is gifts, maybe that in itself isn't about the gifts, it's about something else. Maybe the deeper meaning is, well, I just want to be thought of in that really kind, sensitive way that you're talking about. Like, oh, I saw this when I was on vacation, it made me think of you. Like, I want to be thought about in that way. And the clearest way that I can imagine that happening is people giving me the most perfect gift. But there's probably other ways, but they're in their mind, they've just interpreted that to be the best way. So it's, the 5 love languages, it's a model. It's going to apply to certain situations. It might not apply to every situation, and it's malleable. Yeah.
I wonder how many people will take the time to even discover the love language of others, because it doesn't seem like, if I look back on my dating history, it doesn't seem like it's a question that is asked. It's more,
Really.
right? Like, I think we're more intuitive than we give ourselves credit for. I think we can pick up and be observant. Even though these days it seems like everyone has an issue with everything when it comes to dating, right? Your gift is not enough, your whatever the case is. I just think that if we can have that conversation, and it goes back to your point, right, where if there's a need.
Yeah.
Because for you to get into a relationship, there's a reason why you're getting into it. Are you getting into just pass time?
Yeah.
Okay. Just tell the person that, right? Are you getting into a relationship just because you want something that's casual? And I do that in quotations because that seems to be like my generation. Like, is it just a sexual thing?
Right.
You need to let the person know that, right? Or are you dating with intention with, okay, I want to get married and I want to have kids. I want to have the white picket fence, dog named Sparky, and
the
work and work and work.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
The 1.5 children, right? I don't know how you can have half a child, but hey, it's possible. Right? So if that's the goal, then you'd have to ask yourself, how does Terrain want to be loved? How does Tonia want to be loved? How does this person? How does that person? Because you can love someone very well and you can love someone very poorly. And I wonder how many people get frustrated that they're showing you love in a way that they believe that you want it, but they're not getting the results. So it just grows and grows. And they're like, you know what, Tonia, I've had enough. I'm trying to show you love, but it doesn't seem to be working. And instead of trying to understand how you want to be loved, they just say, okay, I want a divorce, and they move on. Do you think that happens?
That 100% happens. And I think that's changing, though. I do think that's changing, though, as people are starting to become more conscious of questions like, how can I support you right now? What do you need from me right now? Do you want me to just witness what you're saying to me, or do you want feedback? Like, it's okay to be unsure about how to treat people. It's okay to ask them to tell you how they want you to support them. That is, I think, becoming more and more common in the circles that I run in anyways. People are more receptive to that type of, instead of just making an assumption and then being disappointed when that assumption didn't hit the mark, let's actually just have a conversation about how we want to have conversations. Or let's have a conversation about how we want to interact. Like, those are okay things to do. And it's absolutely okay to come, humbly and say, you know what? I'm really aware that the way I have been behaving hasn't really been getting the response from you that I've been expecting or even necessarily wanting. And I really want you to feel good, be happy. I want you to feel connected. What do I need to do differently to allow that to happen for you? And I mean, ultimately, it's going to be their own interpretation and decision anyways, but giving them a platform, giving yourself a platform to say like, hey, I don't have this perfected yet. Like I'm a work in progress and we are a work in progress. Like these things are okay to say out loud.